They say power and privilege are revealed not in moments of comfort, but in moments of conflict. Imagine being a world-renowned black CEO, stepping onto a plane, settling into a VIP seat you earned through years of hard work, only to be told to stand up. Not because of a mistake, not because of safety, but because a white passenger demanded your place. What unfolded next didn't just humiliate one man, it exposed the deep cracks of racism in America's skies and triggered a chain of events that would cost an airline billions. For most people, success brings comfort. For Marcus Ellison, it brought constant reminders that, no matter how high he climbed, the world still saw the color of his skin before his accomplishments. Marcus wasn't just another traveler. He was a self-made CEO, a man who built his company from nothing and now led thousands of employees across the globe. Marcus settled into his seat, exhaling the weight of another relentless week. He had just come from a meeting that could reshape his company's future, and this flight was supposed to be nothing more than a brief pause before the next challenge. But as the cabin filled, he noticed the sidelong glances, those quick, measuring looks he'd grown used to. The kind that didn't see a leader, a visionary, or even a paying customer. Just a black man in a space some believed was too rarefied. For him, at first, he brushed it off. Years of subtle slights had taught him to ignore what couldn't be changed. But then, the shift came. A flight attendant approached, her smile brittle, her voice rehearsed. "Sir, there's been a mix-up. I'm going to need you to move to another seat." Marcus blinked, confused. He had triple-checked his booking. Row 1, first class, a seat reserved and paid for weeks ago. Calmly, he handed her the ticket. She glanced at it, hesitated, and then lowered her voice. "It's just that passenger wants this seat." He followed her gaze. A white man stood in the aisle, arms folded, waiting, not asking, but expecting. The kind of expectation born not of entitlement to a ticket, but entitlement to space, to superiority. Marcus's pulse quickened. When he refused, the atmosphere changed instantly. Polite smiles vanished. Whispers spread across the cabin like wildfire. The man in the aisle scowled, muttering under his breath. The attendant stiffened, her voice sharper now. "Sir, I'm going to have to insist." Passengers leaned closer, phones raised, some eager for drama, others visibly uncomfortable but silent. No one spoke up. No one questioned why the man who paid for the seat should be asked to leave it. Marcus held his ground, but the pressure, built with removed. That word echoed in his mind. Not because he had done anything wrong, not because of policy or safety, but because he dared to sit where someone else, someone white, believed he shouldn't. The tension thickened. The white passenger smirked, certain of the outcome. The crew loomed closer, their authority pressing down like a weight. Marcus's hands tightened around the armrests, his chest heavy with rage. The supervisor's voice cut sharper now, no trace of politeness left. "Sir, this is your final warning. Either you move, or we remove you." And before Marcus could answer, security boarded the plane. The air shifted. What had been tense whispers turned into audible gasps. Uniformed officers filled the narrow aisle, their presence heavy, their hands hovering too close to weapons and handcuffs. Passengers leaned back in their seats, phones recording every second. One officer stepped forward, towering over him. "Stand up! Now!" The command wasn't a request. It was a threat wrapped in authority. Marcus's heart pounded in his chest. He could feel every eye on him. Some sympathetic, most indifferent, and too many silently complicit. The humiliation burned hotter than fear. Decades of sacrifice, of proving himself 10 times over, were being erased in seconds. He knew if he stood, he'd be surrendering not just his seat, but his dignity. And yet, if he refused, the consequences could spiral into something far worse. The officer's hand twitched, ready to act. Passengers held their breath. The cameras zoomed in. And Marcus, with every ounce of strength, stayed rooted to his seat. The next moment was chaos. Hands grabbing, voices shouting, his body wrenched from the armrest as if he were an intruder rather than a paying customer. Pain seared through his shoulder, his knees hitting the floor. The cabin erupted in outrage, but no one stopped it. No one intervened. Dragged through the aisle, his suit rumpled, his dignity torn, Marcus realized the truth. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about every silent injustice, every humiliation endured quietly by those who never had a camera to capture it. And as the world would soon see, this moment would ignite a fire no airline could ever extinguish. When Marcus was finally released from custody, his body ached, but the deeper wound was invisible. It wasn't the bruises on his arms or the sharp pain in his shoulder. It was the humiliation of being treated as less than human, despite every accomplishment, every barrier he had broken. He walked away from that plane not just as a victim of injustice, but as a symbol of something much larger. What the airline didn't expect was the power of the cameras. Within hours, the video of Marcus being dragged down the aisle went viral. Millions watched in horror as a man who represented success, dignity, and perseverance was stripped of it all in front of an indifferent crowd. The outrage was immediate. Headlines filled every corner of the internet. Stockholders demanded answers, and within weeks, the airline faced lawsuits, boycotts, and a staggering $4.2 billion loss in market value. But beyond the financial fallout, the impact was far greater. Conversations about systemic racism. For Marcus, the pain lingered, but so did the purpose. He knew this wasn't just about a seat on a plane. It was about a seat at the table of justice, equality, and humanity. His story forced the world to confront an uncomfortable truth. Success does not shield black men from racism. And so the question remains, not just for the airline, but for all of us. How many more lives, how many more humiliations, before dignity and equality are no longer privileges, but rights?